The very first inklings that I heard about maybe that when it ever landed on the moon and it was all faked and all this, the first thing that popped in, this is 35, 40 years ago. First thing that popped into my mind was, oh geez, here we go. This is Art Bell, late night shortwave radio, conspiracy crap. And I gave it zero attention. It was like, you people will grasp at anything. Everything's a conspiracy and everything's a lie. The trouble with that is, I knew almost nothing about the moon landing and I'd never looked into it. The information was harder to get back then. July 20th, 1969, Americans landed on the moon. But prior to all that, there's a little more information that you need. For example, the head of NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, this is the industry, whatever you want to call it, in the United States. This is the space program. And the head of that program was a Nazi, Wernher von Braun. He was brought over to America at the end of World War II. When the gig was up, the Nazis were defeated. This group of scientists, led by Wernher von Braun, who made remarkable advancements in rocket technology for the Nazi war effort. They were surrounded, they knew they were going to be seized, and basically they had a choice. Go with the Americans or go with the Soviets. And they stayed put and basically chose their captor. And under Operation Paperclip, and this is all fact, you can look this, type in your Googler Operation Paperclip. Over 3,000 Nazi scientists were taken from Nazi Germany and brought to America to work for the government. They were paid, but the first thing they did was complain about the accommodations and the food. Audacity. Present day, Wernher von Braun is celebrated as an aeronautics hero, and make no mistake, he made massive advancements in rocket propulsion technology. But he was a Nazi, and I guess we're okay with that. So when you break it all down, you got the Nazi-led NASA team, and there's a space race between America and the Soviet Union. And whoever got there first and could walk on the moon would be considered internationally basically the authority. Look at the advancement we've done. We have sent men from Earth to walk on the moon. When you start unpacking this and look at all the testing that they did here on Earth, never once did they successfully land one of these test flights. They blew stuff up, they crashed stuff. The budget was almost limitless. But then we are expected to believe that they could take this tens of thousands of miles away and successfully land it on an unknown terrain. And somehow we had the technology in 1969 to convey live video and radio signals through the Van Allen belts, which is massive radiation, back to Earth. But it wasn't live. They projected this up onto a screen through a projector, and TV crews and whatnot filming it. And this was a big event. It's estimated that 500 million people worldwide watched this event on television. But what they're seeing is a secondhand feed filming the projection on the wall at NASA headquarters with an obvious delay. Now, how do you get these signals in 1969 through these Van Allen belts? And what are the Van Allen belts? Well, it's an invisible radiation belt, massive radiation to it. And somehow we're expected to believe that all this footage could just be brought back, unharmed. No problem. Present day, NASA says they have to figure out how to get through the Van Allen belts. There's such a danger, and there is a danger because of the massive amounts of radiation. But you've already done it. You did it in 1969. 1972 was the last quote-unquote visit to the moon. And then it just stopped. Lack of interest, lack of funding. When has the United States government ever been involved in something and went somewhere and then totally left and just, abandoned it. That's lack of funding. Adjusted for inflation, what it cost to go to the moon back then was roughly $120 billion. That's a heck of a lot of money. But we've given more than that to Ukraine in a lost effort from the start. You're going to tell me that all of a sudden the United States government is concerned about money and budgetary concerns, and we just can't afford to send people to the moon. It's so much money. Ukraine could use that money, or maybe even Israel. We don't know. NASA astronaut Don Pettit said, "We'd love to go back to the moon. We don't have the technology. We used to, but we destroyed it." What are you talking about? And in looking into this, every bit of original footage from those Apollo space missions has been destroyed. All of it. The most significant achievement of mankind, supposedly, was transferred to VHS tapes. And in a budget crisis, I think in the 80s, they recorded over it. This is a technical process. Somehow that trumps men walking on the moon. All the calculations, all the mathematical paperwork, all of the figures and facts and planning that had to go in an operation of this immensity, all destroyed. Now, this is the same government that keeps manuals from the Civil War on how to properly care for your mule that you're riding into combat. They still have those. But the mathematical formulas to get to the moon and what that took and entailed, they just destroyed those. We got space storage concerns. How about just burn all that stuff with the moon? Shred it. I don't know. We got to free up some space for these new VHS tapes that we recorded over. What are you talking about? NASA continuously, over and over. We've got to work on this technology. We've got to figure out how to get through those Van Allen belts. This is a tricky thing. You already did it in 1969. And somehow the technology then, you just don't have it now, see? It's crazy. Sure, you got the boot print on the moon. Most of the world probably knows that image. But then you see Neil Armstrong's actual get-up that he supposedly walked on the moon with, and the boot print doesn't match. And there's a rock that's labeled with a C as if it was a movie prop. That's crazy talk. Then you got Buzz Aldrin, one of the original three, and he makes a tweet that says, as off, maybe he was drinking again. He had a drinking problem, pretty severe. We don't know. Interestingly, Neil Armstrong didn't have much to say at all when he got back. Really, none of the three did. Collins, Aldrin, and Armstrong. Heroes now. Worldwide heroes. They don't have a whole lot to say about it, especially Neil Armstrong. All of those years. Now, he's passed away now. And you should go back and look at his Lifetime Achievement Award or whatever crap that they gave him from NASA. I don't remember if he retired or what. But he said it's part of the story. There's interesting comments that come out of that man's mouth, almost like they never went. Wouldn't a national hero, international hero, have a little more to say over the course of 40, 50 years? You just didn't hear much out of the man. That's peculiar. And there's the other side of this coin where people talk about the flag waving and, the shadows don't line up. That's all BS. You can go outside and look at the shadows. They're different angles from, that's nonsense. NASA's own statements are what fascinates me. I think it was 2017, then President Donald Trump said, we're going back. And he's got some funding going, and we're going to get to the moon by 2024. Well, here we are. We ain't any closer to going. And please spare me this crap about budgetary concerns, because they don't have a concern about the budget in anything else. I mean, they're looking for ways to waste money at this point. $1 trillion every 100 days or thereabouts. But we don't have the money to go to the moon. It's a long way away, see. Also, interestingly, once we landed on the moon and walked on it, the other countries, especially Russia, they just gave up. You were first. Wouldn't you think you'd want to get there? This is a Cold War now. And you'd want to establish, I don't know why, maybe technology, communication, satellites, you might want a base up there. Nah, they just gave it up, you know. After being the first, Russia was the leader. They sent a monkey up there, then they sent a cosmonaut up there, Sputnik. They were the first. They were leading the way in a lot of this because they got Nazi soldiers or scientists too. They were way ahead of the game. But once we got there, it's just like, they knew it was fake. They said it was fake at the time. We ain't getting Russian news, Soviet news back then, especially back then. You're not going to know that stuff. And they said there's no point. Then we'd have to prove. And they just gave up. And now they fly together. Have we been to outer space? In my estimation, no. We've been to lower Earth orbit, which is really impressive. Don't get me wrong. We're talking 100 to 600 miles above the Earth's surface. That's impressive. Been to the moon? I don't think so. And you can look into this for yourself. Type in the thing and tell me I'm wrong. Please, God, don't quote Neil deGrasse Tyson. That guy's a buffoon. But anything legitimate, or if you know other things, there's a lot of stuff to unpack. And the more you look into it, there's some sketchy stuff went on. The money that has been stolen from taxpayers to fund this boondoggle. And we just can't get back now. It's crazy. It's a mystery. We got to figure out how to get through the Van Allen belts. We got to figure out how to get to the moon. Because we burned all the... And the point being that if they lie about that, they'll lie about anything. And they do. Now with technology and information, we can start unpacking some of this stuff. And it's, no. Why? The insidious thing about liars is that they lie about lying. And they've lied about nearly everything. Again, you can put your comments in the doobly-doo if you want. I do appreciate your time. And I will see you next time.